Hi, I'm Rick Stivers with YoungMartin'sReels, and today we're going to be doing a bonus video. We're supposed to, at this point, be shooting a video on an Eagle Claw 7070, but a friend of mine, Bo, brought this reel to me and asked me if I could get it up and running. So we're going to insert it into the mix, get it done, but we're still going to probably do the Eagle Claw today too. So we're going to start this off. This reel is broken, or it appears to be broken. It will not wind at all. The button doesn't want to push. The line doesn't want to come out. The whole thing is jammed up. It doesn't work. So I told him we'd take a look at it and see what we could do. I'm pretty sure I know what's wrong with it because I've seen this kind of thing before. But let's find out if I'm right. Okay, we're going to start off by taking the cover off. This one has got a push button over here. You push this button in and it releases this little catch right here. Okay, push this button in, rotate it. Well, got to get a good grip on it. Rotate it counterclockwise and off it comes. Alright, there's our line. Alright, now if you look at the line, you see that it doesn't feed directly back into the spool. This is exactly what I thought was wrong with it. Somehow, and I don't know how this happens, I don't know if it's because there's too much line on the spool or what happens, but the line is jammed up inside underneath the rotor. So we're going to go ahead and take this apart and get the line out of it. You got to be careful when you take it apart that the line is trapped within this mechanism up here. And what's going to happen, or can happen, if you use too much force on it, is it can snap one of these parts up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut the line loose from the spool. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to try to cut this line loose from the spool. Here's right here. I don't know if you can see it on the video, but right here is where the line runs up into the spool, and we're going to sever that and see if we can get this to come loose. The spool's kind of working now. Handle, nope, still jamming up, but it's trying. All right, there we go. Now, but see, it's trying to pop back. It's still got some line trapped. You got to be careful as you unscrew this off of here that you don't use too much force on it. Wiggle a little bit, wind, wiggle it a little bit, wind it some more. Be careful because you do not want to break the parts up underneath it. Okay, this line goes up inside. All right, we're trying to work it loose. There we go. Okay, now I don't know if you can see that inside there, but that line is all wrapped around the center. Reach in and do the best you can to get it unscrewed off of there. I'm going to clip some of it now. See the mess that is? That line had this whole reel bound up. Alright, so we're going to pull it. There we go. That's got that out. Now you're going to have to get it disconnected from in here. See, it's wrapped all around these components in here. So let's start taking that out. Okay, it's wrapped around this post right here. Be careful. Take it off gently. There we go. Any more? Okay. I don't see any more string in there. I do see some old congealed grease. Let's see if we can get that out of there, because that's not doing anybody any good laying on the side. Alright, let's see if that is enough to get the reel up and working again. Helps to hold the button pushed in. There we go. Okay, hold the knob tight. Go ahead and run your line through the hole. Make sure it's not trapped under the cap. And bring it around till your badge is on the top, or close to the top, and then line up the nearest counterclockwise notch and turn it. Okay, let's see if we've got it fixed. Okay, the line's coming out, which you wouldn't do before. The handle winds. Let's see if we got a drag. We got drag. Okay, this reel is repaired. I'm not going to stop at that point. We're going to go ahead and take the reel apart, but I wanted you to see how we went about fixing it. And we're going to take the reel apart, clean it, and put it all back together, and put some new line on it. This line looks pretty old, and we'll return it to Bo. Okay, as I said, we're going to return this to Bo, so we're going to go ahead and take it apart and clean it up. First thing we're going to do is remove the handle. I lied. We're not going to remove that handle just yet. First thing we're going to do is remove the front cover. Take that off. Then we're going to remove the spool, and you need to hold the handle in order to take that rotor off. Okay, we got the rotor off. Now we can go ahead and remove the handle. Handle comes off. All right, now we're going to go, well, let's go ahead and finish taking the front apart. Take this clip off. It doesn't matter the orientation of the clip. That's got the clip removed. Now we should be able to remove the rotor. Now we've got drag washers here. I'm going to take these off one at a time. We've got this one here. It's a keyed drag washer. See, it's got this little key right here. Under it is a fiber drag washer. And then under that is the spool. On the bottom of the spool is the drag adjuster. And it goes in there with, if you look at it, you've got these little ramps. Those ramps are going to go towards the face right here. Okay, we've got another washer, and we've got another keyed washer here, and we have another fabric washer. Okay, so your two fabric washers are going to go on the top and your bottom of your spool. Notice your spool has this notches right here. That's for your clicker for your drag. This clicker right here rides on that. And this knob right here is the adjuster for your drag. You can pull it out once you've got it to this point, set it there with the drag mechanism, and then there we go. Okay, and it goes with the clicker portion here to the front. And I'll show you why in just a few minutes. All right, we've got it to that point. We are going to now remove the back, which is just grab hold and rotate it counterclockwise, and it pulls off. Now inside we have, first off, when we took this out of the side over here, there's a bushing that fits up in there. See the white plastic bushing? Okay, it fits up inside there and it holds this bearing in place. You can take that bearing and pop it out this way. We're going to wait to do that just a moment while we take this clip out on this side. Okay, with that metal clip out, we can now slide these bearings on each side off of the shaft. And that's the plan anyway. This one doesn't want to move. Let's get a bigger screwdriver. Okay, let's go ahead and slide this bearing on out. And I may have to provide a little persuasion to this bearing. I moved it a little bit. Normally these will pop right out. Okay, let's see if we can rotate it a little bit and push from the other side. There we go. Now the bearings popped out. Okay, that's two roller bearings out. With those two roller bearings out, this axle shaft will come out. Right straight out the top. Sorry, main gear. Now your axle shaft will come out through the bottom. All right. There's another bearing up here. We're going to leave it in place. There's no need to take it out. All right, this assembly right here, we did need to take it apart. There's grass inside the gears. Okay, grass and dirt. All right, if you look on this axle shaft right here, this is your anti-reverse clutch. Okay, notice that you can turn this shaft this direction, but you can't rotate it backwards. It won't turn. That's because of this clutch assembly. Okay, you can take that out. It's got a lot of oil on it. It's not supposed to. It should be clean and dry. If it's dry, that means that it will It's a friction drive and it should be dry. Alright, that's all the parts removed except for this last bearing right here, and we're going to leave it in place. We're going to take a cotton swab, clean a little bit of dirt off of that that's on there, clean it up inside. Then we're going to use that same cotton swab or a new one depending on whether you need one or not to clean up the reel body. With that clean, we're now going to clean this anti-reverse assembly here. Just clean the grease, the oil out of it, because it should not be oiled inside. Do not, be careful. Notice that I almost just pulled the guts out of it, releasing all the bearings. That would be a bad thing. Let me show you. I don't know if you can see or not, but this whole assembly, look, will slide out. When that comes out, all those roller bearings will fall out, and you have to reassemble it all, and that's not fun. Okay, so be careful as you clean that you don't accidentally pull that all the way through. Okay, now there's a right way and a wrong way to install this. If you're putting it on the right way, you should be able to rotate your axle shaft this direction, and it should rotate. When you go to try to go the other way, it won't come back. Okay, so that's good. That's the direction it's going to go. We're going to do that in just a minute. First, we're going to clean up this gear. Once that gear is clean, go ahead and inspect it. Make sure there's no damage to it. Make sure that it will push in. See the spring here? Make sure that you can press that in, and then you're going to want to lubricate this. You want to lubricate the gear, and you want to lubricate the spring area back here where everything slides. Then I'm going to take your roller bearing, one of them, it doesn't matter, they're all four the same, whether it be the one in the front, the one in the back, or the ones in the two sides, and we're going to lubricate it, but those are all the same part number. A little bit of oil on it. Okay, the roller bearing then slides on to the shaft. Then wipe off the excess, because you don't want oil inside your anti-reverse dog. Go ahead, slide it on, make sure it rotates the right direction but not the wrong direction. That's good. Now we're going to come back. We're going to add oil to this front bearing. Give that a second to soak in, and then we're going to slide this back in. Okay. Just like that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to clean up this guy. This is your main gear, and it's in really good shape, it appears. All of this reel is in very good shape. The only thing that was holding it back was having that string trapped inside it. And there is another piece of grass right there. Grass and dirt can always find its way in, and they can always do you some damage. So be careful, watch for those when you're putting it together. Put some grease now on just the teeth of the main gear, like so. With that in place, you can now set the main gear back into the case and make sure that it goes all the way down. Now once you've done that, you can come back. Let's wipe off these other two bearings, one for each side. Wipe off the dirt and grit that they might have. Let's go ahead, flood them with oil. And slide them back in on the axle. Or sorry, on the main gear. There's the first one started. There we go, it's in. Now we're going to put in the other one on the other side. This is the one I had a little trouble getting to slide off. Now, make sure that's over as far as it will go, and then reinsert this clip. Once that clip's installed like that, you're good to go on that side. And of course I got the handle on the wrong side, and that's probably why we weren't doing everything that we could do. Now let's see if we can pull this other side back in, now that the clip is in place. All right. At that point, we can go ahead and put the drag adjuster knob back in, slide it into the hole, like so. Make sure it's sitting on that clicker. And then you're going to install this part, the gear for it, back inside. And when it's installed properly, that should rotate like that. Now, we're ready to reinstall this gear assembly. Remember that the ramps side goes down. The gear side faces over towards that gear assembly. And you want to set it towards its lowest point here. That way, when you're adjusting this towards the positive, it'll keep cranking it up tighter and tighter. But right now, for the first, when you're putting all this together, you want it at its lowest drag point, like so. Reinstall the next drag washer, but make sure that it's lubricated. And let's go ahead and put some on the bottom of this. That way, this geared drag washer has the ability to move easily. Okay, lowest gear, there we go. A little oil on there, or grease on there. Now we're going to slip that on. That's that washer. Now we're going back to the keyed washer. Okay, we're looking for the key. It's over on this side right here on the handle side. Slip it on and slide it down with the key in the slot. See the key in the slot? Okay, add a little grease and install your fiber drag washer. Make sure it's properly lubricated. And now we're going to reinstall the spool. I'm going to pause for a second on the video, but in real life what I'm going to do is I'm going to go yank all this line off of this spool and re-spool it before I put the spool back on. And I'm not going to do that all on here, so we'll pause, come back, and when I come back I'll have a nice freshly lined spool and we'll install it. Okay, I'm back with a freshly wound spool, and we're going to install it. And if you look, you got the clicker teeth on the bottom here. They're going to hit on this clicker down here. We're going to set this in place over top of the drag washers, and if we want, we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of lubricant here so the drag washer can slide when it needs to on the spool. Slide the spool in place. Next comes the next drag. Well, next comes a little bit more grease for the top side. Then the top drag washer. Then the keyed drag washer. Remember, it's on the handle side. The keyway is. Here we go. Slide that down. Put it in place. And finally comes this clip. Make sure it's down in the slot. If it's not in the slot, it's just going to spring on and spring right back out again. There we go. Now, this is a ZEBCO 33 Platinum model but it's not the latest and greatest Platinum model that has the quick change spool on it. So there's a lot of different ZEBCO 33s. If you're looking for a specific one, look at people's videos and find exactly the one you're looking at. I will be doing some other models, but this was my first ZEBCO 33 to do on these. So once you've got that, go ahead, spin your rotor back on. Okay, and put your back case back on. Now, the way this is going to go, remember you got to turn it clockwise, so you're going to put it on so that the button is crooked like this. Then you're going to turn it back clockwise, and you've got to get it far enough for the button to realign with the base. Once you've turned it that far, you know you've got it on there all the way. When you've done that, you can push the button and the rotor should lock out. Now we're going to get hold of the line. It just wants to keep getting back in there. Hang on a second. If this is your first video with me, you might be surprised that one of my tools is going to be a safety pin. But if you've been around a little bit, seen a few of my videos, you'll see that I use these for all kinds of different things. And in this place, it's going to be a hook to hook onto the string and pull it up out of there. There we go. It's got hold of the string. Run it through your cap. Alright, now when you're lining the front cap up, you've got your badge on the top. You take your badge and you get it as close to the top center as you can, and then line up the notches with the grooves and rotate it. Once it gets to the middle like that, it'll all be lined up. You'll notice your little catch over here is lined up, and at this point we're ready to wipe the whole thing off. Wouldn't hurt to spray a little lubricant, do a little housekeeping on it. Not sure what they got on this, but and let's do an operational check. Buttons pushed, lines coming out fine. Works fine. Now let's test our drag. Right now it should be minimum drag, which it is. Adjust it up. Much tighter. Really tight. Okay. Good. Anti-reverse works. And what I like to do with these is put a little loop on the end. Now take that loop, hook it through the back of the foot, wind it in, adjust the handle, and we have a fully functional ZEBCO 33 Platinum ready to go back fishing. There you go, Bo. Hope you find that useful.